Good evening, everyone. Today we're going to try to recreate the Chladni plate experiment. Ernst Chladni was a German scientist who, in the 18th century, became one of the pioneers in the field of experimental acoustics, which is the study of sound. In order to create this experiment, he took a metal plate covered in sand and ran a bow across it. This created a vibration, and depending on the frequency, different areas of the plate moved, which forces the sand to create different patterns. Given to the recent COVID situation, we were not able to find appropriate materials for this experiment. However, thanks to my mother, I was able to get this cookie tray, which is a little bit deformed, but it's the best we have. Instead of sand, we will be using salt, table salt. And since we don't have a violin bow, or a violin for that matter, we're going to be using this bass guitar and this amplifier in order to let the signal travel through the plate. So let's get to it. So just as an extra precaution, we're gonna place this piece of foam on top of the amp, just so salt doesn't get in the grids and start messing up things. So the next step is to take our deformed metal plate on top of the amp, like this. We're going to place it like this so the salt goes this way. And then we're gonna take the salt, as seen here. I'm just gonna put it here in the plate. We're gonna distribute it along the surface of the plate, like this. It doesn't have to be even. I mean, it's better if it's even, but just don't worry too much if it doesn't cover the entire plate. Next, we're gonna turn on the amp. You can hear it on. And okay, here's what's gonna happen. Each string has a different note, it plays a different note. And each note sounds the way it does because of the vibrations, the frequency. Each string will give us a different frequency. When the vibrations go from the amp to the plate, it's gonna cause movements along its surface. And these movements are gonna make the salt move around and form different patterns. So first we have note E. And that's our first pattern. Kind of looks like a dinosaur or something. And this is note A. Probably due to our plate being so deformed. And next we have D. Yes, you can see how it sort of went thinner in this side. And finally we have G. So as you can see, the louder the sound, the more is the movement. Which is why I'm going to repeat A. I think it was a little weak. So here goes A again. So this way you can tell how the salt moves around because of the vibrations in the plate. As the sound moves throughout the plate, it starts vibrating. And these vibrations they move the sand around, which is why we can see these patterns. And that's what Chladni did, except he did it with a violin bow. Obviously the patterns didn't change that much because of the plate, but the result is we're still able to observe the results. So that's the Chladni plate. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something today. Kick things into 12th gear. I'm gonna play a song and see what effect it has on the salt. Sorry. Here it goes. thanks to this experiment, we were able to see how sound travels through this type of surfaces. Now, obviously, our materials weren't the most adequate, but given the circumstances, we did our best. And even though we have our metal tray, it wasn't as flat as I would have liked it to be. But we were still, however, able to see how the salt moved around and how each note with a different frequency each created a different pattern. Now, you didn't see this in the video, but I played the Tool song twice, and both of those times the pattern form was the same, or at least similar. And this tells us that the same frequencies can create the same patterns, or usually form the same patterns. And well, that's that. Remember, kids, science rocks.